troubleshooting whether a pump is working properly, what we're going to do first of all is turn the pump on by turning on the chlorinator. The chlorinator will then be turning the pump on. I should expect to hear the motor on the pump running quite loudly, something like this. You can see in here in the hair and lint pot that it's full of water, and we can see the salt cell, there's water flowing through that. If we had a situation where we couldn't hear the pump starting or it wasn't making any noise, then now we can start doing some troubleshooting. Another thing we may hear is in this situation, the pump might be making a buzzing or a humming noise. Typically that means that the pump has an issue with the capacitor that's starting and running the pump, or it could mean that there's a blockage internally. There are a few troubleshooting techniques, but at this point it's probably best to speak directly to a pool professional to help you with that issue. Now, if we don't have any noise, so we've got no power to the pump, the first thing we need to do is what's called isolating the pump. Right now, the pump is plugged into the chlorinator and the chlorinator is turning the pump on. So we need to make sure that the problem is with the pump and not with the chlorinator. So the first thing we're going to do is unplug the pump from the chlorinator, and we're going to plug it directly into a power point that we know works. Okay? Often I'll use the same power point that the chlorinator is plugged into, or I would check the power point with a drill or another appliance I know works. So we'll plug the pump in, turn it directly on. Then, if the pump now works, that would indicate that the problem is with the chlorinator and the power supply underneath, and not the actual pump. If the pump that we've now isolated doesn't work, again, I would be engaging a pool professional to help understand what the problem is with the pump. If the pump is running and the water in the front of it's called the hair and lint pot, is not filling up, or the salt cell is not filling up, it's running but it's not running properly, we just want to run a few checks. First of all, we're going to check the basket in front of the pump. So with the system turned off, we're going to take the lid off and we're going to take the basket out. We're going to make sure that the basket is clean of debris, so nothing inside here that would be restricting the flow. Give that a clean out. Importantly, when we're putting the basket back in, it needs to go in the right way. In this situation, we've got a hole, it must face the front, and this basket has a notch at the back, which lines up with a notch on the back of the pump. You need to make sure that that's all the way in and in correctly. If we have it off in a little bit twisted, the pump lid will sit high, the pump lid won't seal properly, the pump will suck air and won't run, won't be able to pull water, it will just suck air. So we'll make sure that basket's all the way in, very important. The other one is the lid is sealed by an O-ring under the lid. This pump, it's here. Other pumps may have the O-ring around the bottom. Often when people are taking the lid off, the O-ring will fall down on the ground, and when they're putting the lid back on, again, the pump will suck air and it won't start. So when we're troubleshooting, we're making sure that the basket's in correctly and the O-ring is in place and well lubricated using a silicon-based lubricant, nothing petroleum-based like Vaseline. It will damage the O-ring. This pump is what we call self-priming. To help the pump, you can actually pour a bucket of water in here. Bucket more than a hose, because what you want is a lot of water quickly. When we do that, pour that in, put the lid back on, nice and tight up, and we're going to turn the pump back on. What I would expect to see now is water flowing into the pump, and I would expect it to take 20 to 40 seconds for this to be completely full of water, the salt cell to be water, and the pump to be operating properly. If the pump's still not priming, then we continue down the line with our troubleshooting to try and find out what the problem is.